Finnegan's Wake was the best episode of season 5 because it does something the show was afraid to do for almost 2 seasons. I'm referring, of course, to Callum's dilemma of whether he should use dark magic to save his friends. Because saving his friends is, of course, a very good thing to do, but using dark magic is a very bad thing to do. And like a good antagonist, Finnegan refuses to give Callum any options. It literally is either you give up on your moral stance or you let your friends die. There is no other option. Finnegan creates a high-stakes dilemma with no good options. The Dragon Prince used to do this all the time in books 1 through 3. Rayla is the best example. From the moment we meet her, she is forced to choose between doing her job as an assassin and holding true to her values and morals. And her decision to hold to her morals comes with heavy consequences. Her assassin squad is wiped out. She's banished from the Moonshadow Elves. She nearly loses her hand, and she's forced to live with the shame of her family's reputation of being cowards, of not being able to do what needs to be done for the good of Zadia. Soren and Claudia have similar conflicts, where Lord Viren, their father, forces them to choose between doing what he says and holding true to their moral convictions. Even in smaller moments, like when Callum has to decide how to break the news to Ezram that his father has died, has this internal conflict, and the narrative doesn't shy away from it. It forces the characters to sit with the decision and its weight and the consequences. And that kind of internal drama is something that has been missing from the Dragon Prince since the beginning of Book 4. For instance, there's this episode when the human builder interferes with a Sun Elf mourning ritual, and at first it seems like Amaya and Janai are going to fall on opposite sides of this issue. Janai siding with Sun Elf tradition and Amaya defending the humans. But Amaya changes sides in this conflict really quickly, and although I think that decision was justified based on the evidence and the testimony, it still doesn't let the characters sit with this difficult decision. And that's the best example I can think of from books 4 and 5. There could have been a lot of drama between Janai and Karim, especially after she banishes him, but she doesn't really seem to care about that after the fact. There could have been conflict between Claudia and Terry when Claudia refuses to give Rayla the soul coins. Instead, Claudia just changes her mind when Terry says, hey, that was kinda mean. The worst one is when Callum and Rayla want to go to the Bookery in Luxaria, and Janai says, no, you can't, because there's all kinds of infected monsters there, including some of my Sun Elves. It is a terrible place. I absolutely forbid you to go. And this could have forced Callum and Rayla to make a difficult decision about whether to respect her wishes or do what they think is the right thing. But instead, Janai comes back like 2 seconds later and says, no, actually, I was just kidding. Totally go for it and take my girlfriend with you. The fact is, characters need difficult decisions. They need to be put in situations where there are no good options, where every choice is going to require a sacrifice of something important to them. And I am so glad Finnegan's Wake brings that back to the Dragon Prince.